if you're trying to do vocal stacks, multiple vocals, singing the same thing, maybe a harmony, maybe ad-libs, but you're trying to make them all sound kind of bigger than they are already, my biggest tip I could give you, and it's not what I would call an original tip where it's like I'm the only one saying it, it's just the most common knowledge in the toolbox, is use different mics for the different vocalists or for the same vocalist to create a more expansive palette. I'm going to show you an example of this real quick using this crazy mic that a friend of mine gave me recently. It's this, let me show you. You see this thing? It looks like kind of little flashlights. This mic is two of them. There's two different mics. I have it linked up in stereo on my DAW at the moment into two different preamps to get both of them live. But I want to show you what this thing sounds like. These were known to sit kind of on the floor and give you like an orchestra sound kind of, but they sound particularly thin. They're also known to be good for room mics. A lot of times, mics that can be sat down flat are super helpful for room mics, because the flatter and closer to the ground you get them, the more low end you get. And these mics have so little low end that the more you can get is not a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. The most low end you could get out of these things is better than not, because they have so much of a filter on the bottom anyway. So I've also seen them like used great for like a radio sounding ad-lib voice, you know, like kind of like a robot, like an over the radio kind of thing. Could you do all this in the box? Absolutely. But there's some things that I find work better because it starts impacting you creatively when you use them in the real world. For example, that's why I'm a guitarist. When I play guitar and I record my guitar, I need to use some effects pedals. I can't just go like clean and then figure it out later. And most people who are guitarists feel the same way. It's not, I mean, you could record a DI for sure, but you're not going to record your clean guitar, play the whole song to that, and then add the effects. You play differently when you have an effect on your guitar. If you've got like a vibrato swirling around, giving you like Hendrix choral vibes, you know, some chorus on there and different, like you play totally different than if you don't, you know, so you want that feel that changes the sound because you will perform differently. It's the same exact thing on vocals. When you're using a mic like this, it sounds weird. So once you start singing with this thing, it will give you other ideas of, let me try this. This would sound good for ad-libs. This would be a good thing for a backup idea. You come up with different ideas because it sounds the right way out the gate rather than record it and let's figure it out later. That's the worst way to work. But granted, I mix a lot of stuff. When you mix music, you don't always get things the way you want them. A lot of people record all on the same mic because maybe, you know, budget reasons, they can only afford one mic, so that's all they use. But the biggest thing I could tell you, let me give you an example sound-wise of this, but then I want to just say the best, most important thing is actually having a collection of mics that don't have to be all great. You could have one really good one and a couple that aren't very expensive that are weird sounding, and you'll get great results because you've now expanded the color palette to include sonic signatures that are all different. You don't have to create them different, like in the box. They're already different. So now that they're different, you'll get different ideas when you use them. You can change things up to have your lead stand out. You want your lead to stand out like a solid, you know, different perception, you know, it's like a perceptual difference. Let me give you an example. You look at a photograph and you see 6 people standing and 1 person sitting. Your eyes gravitate towards the one doing the different thing. So what I'm saying is make your lead the thing on the good mic and make everything else somehow a lesser quality or something different going on that could be layered, and then that becomes the normal and the good thing stands out more. There's just, you know, that concept of one different, the rest, you know, the same will bring your attention to it. Sometimes that's helpful for the ad-libs. Like sometimes if you just have somebody doing some ad-lib stuff, make that sound weird and different, you know, and that will make all of a sudden you'll be able to hear what they're saying even if it's quiet, especially if you make it move. I'm a huge fan, and most of the stuff I do makes the ad libs move left, right. Different kind of panning plugins are very helpful for this. You know, there's more than just left, right. There's like, especially today with some of the binaural stuff, there's like up, down, left, right, all sorts of stuff. In headphones you'll hear it, but the point is, that kind of a concept of move it around makes your ear go to it. You can pick out things that are lower and more quiet in a mix if they're moving. That's all you got to do is move it. And just like our eyes, we're trained to hear things that are moving. It's to prevent the tiger from sneaking up and eating us in the forest. It's the same exact concept. We hear things when they're rustling around and moving around. It, like, all you got to do is move it. Whereas if you put that weird rustly sound, make it consistent. Make it never stop being consistent for the next hour. I guarantee an hour and a half, you won't even notice it anymore. All right, so here we go. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Right here. All I want to do first, switch to this mic, okay? Check, 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 2. You get what I'm saying already? I'm going to talk into the left one first. This is 3. Checking 2, 1, 2. Checking 2, 1, 2. Checking 2, 1, 8, 2, and mate. Checking 4. We're checking 4 now. Checking 4. Hello, I'm checking 4. Are you there? 4. 4, come in, 4. Hello, 4. So now when we have both of these combined, let me just switch back. I'm just going to talk in the middle now. You see, so like depending on, and granted, I have a stereo track because it's left and right, 3 and 4. They're taped together, so I can't separate them if I tried. But I could just load up 1. So let me just show you back to the other mic real quick. You're going to notice the low end comes way back. Checking 2 again, we're back to the low end. Back to the low end. Listen to the difference. It must be like Barry Manilow stepped into the room, James Earl Jones coming at you. So we got our low end back. Now, flip. Checking 2, 1 and 2 and mate. Okay, so watch what I do now. I'm going to plug this stuff in to the same chain because some people are going to be like, whoa, your vocal mic, the U47 clone, Stellar CM6, that is running into a Neve 1073 preamp, and then it's running into an 1176, and then it's running into your converter, so like different sound. True. Let me switch so you can hear the difference. Hold the phone, please. Just thought I'd give you a shot of the soup while we're at it. We got the Allen and Heath doing its thing over there, checking 2, 2, 2. And then over here, we've got, boom, Soup City. So I'm going to just unplug, put this mic on my lap here. I'm going to unplug right here. See where it says these little notations? I'm going to try to get in there so it's clear for you. Boom, 1073 EQ mic in. Woohoo! Pull that out. Come over here. You got 1112. This is my console 1112. That's the Allen and Heath. I'm going to pull 11. I'm going to pop it right into 1073 EQ mic in. Now the chain exists because from here, the mic in goes to the 1073 out, which is the orange at the top. That orange at the top goes to 1176 in, boom, right there. 1176 in goes to 1176 out from the top. Where do we go from there? Bada bing, bada boom. This purple guy, it's going into Burl. See this bottom row? I'm trying to find a way to show it to you. Burl in 1 to 4, bada bing, bada boom. So it goes into the third channel in the Burl. So that's the soup. So now you are listening to this mic through the other stuff. So bada bing, bada boom, Betty boop. You are listening to channel 3, 3, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, jumping to, jump to, jump to. So that's what we're dealing with now. Now, I just wanted you to see what difference the preamp made and the 1176 made in the signal, so you know what's from what, really. So you really can apples to apples. I'm going to switch back at the moment so we can really get a sense of the other thing again, just so we have it. Check 2, that's without it. So without it, it sounds significantly different than with the preamp and the compressor on it. 2, 1 and 2 and 2 and 2. Checking 2, 2, 3, 1 and 2. I'm going to switch it back real quick one more time. All right, so I just switched it back again, and now I am checking these crazy mics, which I don't even know what to call them. If anybody knows what these are called, drop it in the comments. Anybody has other weird mics like this, drop those in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys are using on this crazy mic front. Anyway, this is running through the 1073 into the 1176 style compressor again. Check. 2. All right, we're back. So anyway, in conclusion here, I have to say, these kind of mics, they're not particularly expensive, especially when you're buying used. You don't have to buy any of this stuff new. In fact, you shouldn't. You should find stuff that's old, weird, knocked around, beat up, and you should buy those kind of mics for your secondary set, you know? And you could pick from the stuff that you might use on other things too. Like a smart idea would be you're trying to build your mic collection. Maybe sometimes you record guitars. So, you know, use a regular SM57. If you don't own one of those, buy an SM57. You could use it as this second vocal and also throw it on a guitar cab if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of people don't sing into an SM57, but it's really, really similar to an SM58 in terms of sonic quality. It's almost exactly the same. It just doesn't have that extra, you know, pop filter-y thing, cushion foam on top with the grill. It's really the same mic. So get one of those, or a 58 if you prefer. I've used both on guitar cabinets. It doesn't really matter. Get an SM7 or something and throw that up as your secondary mic. That will sound completely different than some sort of a tube large diaphragm condenser would. The M80 by Telefunken, also really good on snare. So I've also used that on guitar cabinets. It's not the best guitar cab mic, but it's not terrible. So what I'm saying is you can use things like the M80 on vocals, which a lot of people use for vocals, like live especially. It works well in a lot of environments, but I've seen people use it in the studio, on snare drums, a ton also. The Telefunken M80 is a cool choice for a dynamic mic that's also very lively and has some shine on the top end to it, kind of like a condenser, but not. So all sorts of things you could do here. Really depends on how you want to build your mic locker. But these are things that are relatively expensive. Whereas something like this, you could probably pick up for like 30 or 50 bucks or less, 40 bucks. Like, I don't know what you could get something like this for. I don't even know what these are called. They just say the voice of music on them. So, you know, you tell me, what are these things called? I don't know. The voice of music. The part where it says what it's called is probably taped under this. And since I'm borrowing these from somebody, I don't really want to untape them because that would be a crude joke. That would be a terrible joke. Cruel. They're probably taped to this thing for some ridiculous reason, and I'm not going to question it at all. I have no idea what's going on here. But anyway, I have to say, I love mics like this. I had a couple Radio Shack mics for a while that cost like 10, 20 bucks that I used to throw up when I needed things to sound particularly dirty and crunchy and weird. No right, no wrong answer. What winds up happening is whatever you have, you wind up using and liking. So I think it doesn't really matter what you wind up with. Whatever you can get a good deal on, I bet you it will wind up sounding interesting, different, and cool. And the less you spend on it, the more that leaves for you to spend on other things. And when it comes to this second choice mic, like this other thing, that's a very different thing than like the best mic you can buy to get your lead vocal to sound, you know, as clear and pristine and clean as you can. Those are like very different things. So I'd say for this secondary mic, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, and it shouldn't be. You know, it really shouldn't, because you get away with different things there that are different. And it's more important to have multiples that are different. Like a different two that are cheaper is better than one that's more expensive, probably. Because then you could do exactly what I'm saying, but to another degree. Even, you know, a third thing different instead of just two. So what I'm saying is there's a benefit to cheaper in that sense. But, you know, be bold, be venturous. Be venturous with a capital Advent. Advent and invent new stuff to be adventurous as you could be. All right. You guys got this. I mean, what else needs to be said? Not a whole lot. Any questions? Leave them in the comments. If you dug it and you liked it and you want to, drop a like. Hit the comment section. I appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon. Evan Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this. Take it easy.